Greetings. It's a great pleasure, a great blessing to come back to you with another Bible study. And this time it's a timely study on peace. Peace on earth. Is it as elusive as it seems? And this is a season where there's a strong need for us to discuss this aspect of peace altogether. Because if we look around us, we don't see we don't see peace. We see conflicts, we see war, we see strife, we see violence and stuff like that. That is what is all abundance all around us. It's not peace, right? So but there are two sort of seasonal incidents that prompted me to look at this particular topic of peace today, peace on earth. The first one is from a secular point of view. Let us look at it from a secular point of view. The United Nations, actually asked its members to celebrate September 21st as the International Day of Peace. And during that day, they request everyone to to observe ceasefire and stop violence and stuff like that. Now we could of course dismiss it just as another international day that the United Nations organizations has announced or dismiss it, or we could consider it as one of the most important day that the body has recommended. Anyway, whichever side we are on, the fact is that we all wish that there is at least one day when there is peace all over the world. Peace all over the world. Is it possible where there is at least one day where there's no violence, no wars, and things like that? I was actually trying to look at the war that is going on between ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, and was trying to ascertain whether they did a ceasefire on the International Day of Peace, which is September 21, 2022. To the contrary, what the results were disappointing. The results that I found were disappointing because on this particular day, 21st of September 2022, Russia actually pounded the city of Kharkiv, which is the second largest city after Kiev, the capital city. And on the same day, President Putin of Russia, he called for a mobilization of 300,000 reservists. And I understand this is the first time that the reservists have been called or mobilized since World War II. So this year, at least the 2022 year of the Day of International Peace, did not see any difference in the strife between Ukraine and Russia. So much for celebrating International Day of Peace. And it's a fact that we all crave for peace, right? And it might be a rhetorical question if we ask, why do we crave for peace, right? There's an author by the name Chris Hedges. He's an author and a researcher, and he has written a book called "What Every Person Should Know About War." And in this book, he presents a very chilling statistic, and he is actually he quotes sources which have looked into the past 3,500 years of human history. 3,500 years of human history. And what his data reveals is that only 258 years in the entire history of humankind, 3,500 years of human history have been without any wars. I mean, you calculate it, you do the math, and you will realize that it is a measly 8% of the total human history. In other words, we live in a world where more than 90% of the time there is an active conflict going around, and there is wars happening, and somewhere or the other in our world. And that should tell us why we crave for peace, because it seems so elusive. It seems so elusive. It is not, as the history proves, only 8% of the time in the entire human history of 3,500 years we have had time when we haven't had any war at all. The sad part is that this is not a problem just at the global level. You look at our nation, you look at our state, we look at our city, we look at our homes, between parents and children, between siblings, between spouses, between neighbors, between among community members, between church members, right, among religious groups, within churches, among denominations, among political parties, among colleagues in office, between organizations levels, between leaders and employees. The list can go on and on. Every relationship seems to be having a bit of a problem with strife and conflict and war seems to be everywhere. Now, it is in the context of that we need to look at this particular season. And that's the good news. That's the good news. The good news is that a solution is available. A solution is available. Now, long before UN's Declaration of International Day of Peace, there was one day that the world celebrated as a day of peace, and ceasefire was practiced. Immediately what war was going on, ceasefire was practiced, and that day is Christmas. That day is Christmas. Luke 2:14 tells us that the overarching theme, the overarching message of Christmas is peace on earth and goodwill towards men. Luke 2:14. And this, the question that the Lord has placed on my mind for this particular Bible study is to explore the question: what do we need to do to experience that peace, and enjoy that goodwill that Christmas promises? That is what we are going to explore today in our message. My study reveals that there are two things that we need to believe in and one action that we need to take. I repeat, two things that we need to believe in and one action that we need to take. So, what is it that we need to believe in? The first is believe in the fact that Christ is the Prince of Peace. Christ is the Prince of Peace, right? Turn your Bibles to Isaiah 2:2-5, and that provides a comforting study on this particular topic. It says, "Now it shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established on the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. Many people shall come and say, 'Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of God, house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, and we shall walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He shall judge between the nations and rebuke many people. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Jacob, come and let us walk in the light of the Lord." Isaiah 2:2-5. Beautiful message. The prophet is talking about the last days, the second coming of Christ, the second advent that we are all waiting for, when his kingdom will be set up in this world, the establishment of the heavenly Jerusalem. That's what the prophet is talking about. The prophet is prophesying that Christ's church will be established across all nations, and this shall be done voluntarily. There shall be no force used into it. Actually, if you look at the verse, it says all nations shall flow into it, is the terminology that the prophet uses, which means basically that that they will voluntarily come and join this kingdom of peace, right? This is not by force or by compulsion, but by free will. They will voluntarily accept the gospel and accept Jesus as the only Prince of Peace, as the only piece of peace. The word, the gospel shall go out and reach, go out from Zion and reach all corners of the world. And then comes the promise of everlasting peace, something that we are all looking forward to, right? So and it's a type of peace where, as the prophet says, there's a type of peace where there will be no need for weapons, no need for weapons. The nations will convert. Actually, it actually provides a beautiful picture of the nations converting their weapons into equipments, tools that they can use for gardening, for fishing, and stuff like that, right? There'll be, so there will be no war. There will be no war anymore. This is the promise. This is the promise. And as we who people who believe in the Bible, we know that just as any other promise in the Bible, this too will be fulfilled. This promise too will be fulfilled. We know that the prophecies of Jesus, prophecies about Jesus, are all fulfilled. And this prophecy about establishing his kingdom all over the earth, his judgment of the nations, and his second coming will also be fulfilled, and we will have everlasting peace. We will have everlasting peace. We will have everlasting peace. Remember, Jesus said, I will build my church. I will build my church. That's a definitive promise, and he will keep it. He is the Prince of Peace. He is the only one. That's the first thing that we need to believe in. The second thing that we need to believe in is the fact that Jesus is the light to the world. Light to the world. Staying with Isaiah's prophecies, if you look at Isaiah 9:2, he describes this light as the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in the land of the shadow of death, upon them a light has shined. Isaiah 9:2. Isaiah 9:2. Now, I would like you to note one thing. In this particular prophecy in 9:2, it is in the past tense. It says the people who walked in the way have seen that light, and a light has shined upon them. It's in the past tense. Unlike the prophecy about the establishment of the kingdom of peace, which is in the future tense. This is in the past tense, and this is in the past tense because this light that Isaiah is talking about has already come during the first advent. So the first advent brought this light of the heavenly light into us. When Jesus declared that, I am the light of the world, he who follows me shall not walk in darkness but have light of life, John 8:12. He was merely making it clear that this prophecy of Isaiah has already come true. Jesus' announcement that he will lead us into the place beyond the darkness that people were at that time, right? People were in darkness at that time, and Jesus promised them that he will lead us to the place. And this is true today. This is true today. This is true today. If we are seeing darkness all around us, Jesus, the light of the world, has already come down so that we don't need to grope in darkness. We have access to that light. We have access to that light. He is the light of the world, and he will lead us beyond the darkness we see all around us today and in this time. And then Paul confirms this in 2 Corinthians 4:6. For he says, for it is the God who commanded light to shine out of the darkness, who has shown in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. In the face of Jesus Christ. So he has given us that light in the face of Jesus Christ. Right? So that's the second thing that we got to believe in. So believe in two things. Jesus is the Prince of Peace, and he will establish his kingdom of peace on this earth in his second coming. Number two, we have to believe is that Jesus is the light of the world. He has already come. He has already shown us the light. He has already shown us the way. He has promised that He will take us to beyond the darkness that we are around. So we have to believe in these two things. And once we believe in these two things, then we need to ask that question. So, what's our challenge as we celebrate another Christmas, another Advent season, another New Year beginning? And here is what it is. If we believe, if we know and believe that Jesus is the Prince of Peace and He will ultimately establish His kingdom of peace, and if we believe that He has already started that journey by being the light of the world and can show us the way to that everlasting peace, question that we need to ask ourselves is, what do we need to do as His children? What do we need to do as His children? And surprisingly, our call is simple. Our call is simple. But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, His own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of Him who called you out of the darkness into His marvelous light. 1 Peter 2:9. Yeah, that's right. We are special people. We are special people. We are chosen by Him. And we have been given this light. We have been given this light. We have been called from darkness to light. We need to live lives that is worthy of the calling. We need to just live the life that is worthy of His calling. We need to proclaim praises of Him. We need to proclaim praises of Him. As citizens of the kingdom of light, we need to live our lives with hope and faith despite the seemingly dark, unending darkness that we might be seeing all around us today. This is temporal. The wars and the conflicts and the strife that the world goes through is temporal. What is permanent is what peace Jesus offers. So as we celebrate yet another Advent, another Christmas, another New Year, let us put hope in Him alone, who promised everlasting peace. Let's not be disheartened by the wars and conflicts and persecutions and troubles that we see all around us. Let's not be fearful of the future. Let's not be proud of our achievements till date. Let's not put our hopes elsewhere, like in a government or a judiciary or a particular political party or an activist group and things like that. But let us put our hope only in God's true promised one. Jesus Christ is the promised one. He is the Prince of Peace. He is the light of the world. He is the light of the world. The writer of Hebrews says, now that we know what we have, Jesus, the great high priest with ready access to God, let us not let it slip through our fingers. We don't have a priest who is out of touch with our reality. He has been through our weakness and testing, experienced it all but the sin. So let's walk right up to Him and get what He is so ready to give. Take the mercy, accept the help. Accept the help. This is what Hebrews 4:14 to 16 says in the message version. So we have this high priest, we have Jesus Christ, who has shown us the light, who has ready access to God, and who is willing to provide us and take us out of this darkness. So let's just accept that grace that has been poured upon us through Jesus Christ. Let's live our lives as citizens of the kingdom of light and the coming kingdom of peace. Citizens of the kingdom of light and the coming kingdom of peace. And that is the New Year challenge that I would throw at us. I wish you a great Advent season and a great New Year beginning. May God bless you.